My name's Dylan. I'm 19 now, but this story really started the day I turned 18, the day of my high school graduation. You know, that day most families treat like a big milestone. Cameras flashing, tight hugs, awkwardly long speeches from people who think they're more inspirational than they really are. But in my house, it was just another Saturday. No balloons, no banner, not even a congrats, kid. Just the sound of my sister's voice echoing from the hallway as she called dibs on the car so she could get to her spa weekend on time. Yeah, that kind of family. Before I get too deep, let me set the stage. I grew up in what people might call a normal suburban family. Mom, dad, and one sibling, my younger sister Lily, who's 2 years behind me. To most people, we probably seemed like your typical family. Dad works in insurance. Mom runs a home baking side hustle she swears is going to take off any day now. And Lily? Well, Lily has been the center of attention since the day she was born. She wasn't always this spoiled, I don't think. Or maybe I just didn't see it when I was younger. I remember birthdays where we both got gifts, even if it wasn't my birthday. She'd cry if she didn't get a present when I did. So Mom would wrap up something small to keep the peace. I didn't mind at the time. I thought that's just how things worked. But then came the little things. The way she could interrupt me at dinner without being told off. The way she always got the front seat, even when I asked first. Or the time she crashed my bike and I got blamed because I should have locked it up. I spent most of my childhood trying not to rock the boat. I wasn't a quiet kid, but I learned to shrink myself, to stay out of trouble, to keep my head down. I figured if I didn't make waves, they'd eventually notice me for being the easy one, the responsible one, the one who didn't constantly break things or cause drama. Spoiler, they didn't. And then came graduation. I wasn't expecting a parade or anything. I just figured, bare minimum, they'd show up. Maybe take me out for dinner, grab a photo or two. I worked my tail off in high school. I had a part-time job, pulled straight A's, and got accepted to 3 decent universities, all without them having to nag me once. But when I walked out those double doors in my cap and gown, I didn't see them in the crowd. I scanned the bleachers over and over, thinking maybe they were running late or stuck in traffic. I texted Dad. No response. Tried Mom. Nothing. After an hour of awkward small talk with classmates and their families, I finally called home. I don't know why I expected a different answer, but hearing Mom's voice, all casual and relaxed, hit harder than I expected. Oh, hey, sweetie. How was the ceremony? Where are you? I asked. I could hear water trickling in the background. Some kind of fountain, I think. Oh, we're in Napa. We booked Lily a spa weekend for her birthday. Her skin's been flaring up from stress, and, well, you know how important it is for her to feel confident. I stood there in the school parking lot, still in my gown, holding my diploma in one hand and my phone in the other, trying not to let my voice crack. But it's my graduation. There was a pause on the line, just a second or two, but long enough for me to hear her shuffle, maybe putting her mimosa down. Then she said, "We didn't think it was a big deal. You're not even doing a speech or anything, right?" I didn't respond. I just hung up. I wasn't angry, not yet. I was numb. It felt like all the oxygen had been vacuumed out of the world. I sat on the curb for a while, watching as classmates hugged their parents, posed for selfies, celebrated their big day. I just sat there, trying to process the fact that my own family prioritized exfoliation and aromatherapy over one of the biggest days of my life. That night, I ate leftover pizza alone in my room while Lily posted selfies in a fluffy white robe, hashtagging blessed and self-care queen. I muted her stories. For the next few weeks, I didn't say much. I went to work. I packed for college. I acted like everything was fine. But something shifted that day. Something permanent. A quiet, heavy crack formed in the foundation of how I saw my family. It wasn't just disappointment. It was the realization that I was never going to be the priority. Not unless I made myself one. Fast forward a year. I'd been away at college for 2 semesters. Got a scholarship, found a group of friends, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I mattered. Like I had a life that didn't revolve around being someone's afterthought. I still called home now and then, mostly out of habit or guilt. The conversations were short, mostly about how Lily was adjusting to adulthood and how she's just got so much potential. Apparently, she was prepping for her own college move. Big plans, dream school, and guess who was orchestrating the whole thing like it was the royal wedding? You guessed it. Mom and Dad were throwing her a massive send-off. I mean caterers, custom decorations, handcrafted party favors, the whole 9 yards. They wanted everything to be perfect for her transition to university life. A transformational moment, Mom called it. I would have rolled my eyes if I hadn't been so busy grinding through finals and eating ramen. Then, out of the blue, I got a text. Hey, sweetie, we're planning Lily's send-off party. Can you come home early and help set up? She really looks up to you, and it would mean the world if you were there to support her. That was the moment I felt something inside me snap. Not loudly, but sharp and clean, like the quiet click of a lock turning. They wanted me to help? After what they did. After skipping the one milestone in my life because Lily wanted a facial and some cucumber water? That was the moment the idea took root. I didn't respond to the text right away. I just stared at it for a long time, fingers twitching. My dorm was quiet. My roommate was out. The silence gave me space to think, to remember, to plan. Because if they wanted me to be a part of Lily's send-off, I'd do it. Oh, I'd be involved. Just not in the way they were expecting. But I'll get to that. First, let me tell you about what happened when I actually went home that summer. Because the build-up to this transformational party, that was where things really started to get interesting. When I stepped through the front door that summer, it was like I'd entered a showroom for Lily's success. The walls were plastered with framed photos of her senior portraits, graduation shots, and printed Pinterest boards of her dream send-off party. White and gold color palettes, balloons that spelled out next chapter, a sketch for a memory wall. And right in the center of the living room was a huge calendar with everything meticulously planned out, color-coded, laminated, and proudly displayed on an easel like it was some kind of battle plan. Not a single trace of my graduation or my college life, anywhere. I dropped my duffel bag by the stairs. Hey, I'm home, I called out. Mom walked in from the kitchen carrying a tray of lavender cupcakes and gave me a distracted smile. Hi, sweetie. Oh, good, you're early. We could really use your help. These cupcakes were supposed to have edible glitter, but Lily didn't like the texture. She leaned in for a quick side hug, then disappeared back into the kitchen without asking how my year went. No, how were finals? Or how's the dorm? Not even a we missed you. Just glitterless cupcakes. And Lily? She didn't even come downstairs until dinner. I didn't expect a hug, but I figured I'd at least get a hey. Instead, she shuffled into the dining room like she was gracing us with her presence, eyes glued to her phone, her hair wrapped in one of those fancy towel turbans. She plopped into the seat next to Mom and muttered, I'm starving. Did you make the roasted veggie bowl like I asked? Mom practically leapt up. Yes, just finishing the tahini drizzle now. Dad chuckled from his usual seat. You've got us all working like a five-star restaurant, kiddo. I sat across from her, silently chewing a piece of bread I'd buttered myself. Nobody had asked what I wanted. Nobody had even said, welcome back. I forced a smile. So, how was your senior year? She blinked at me like she didn't even recognize my face. Oh, good, I guess. I got into Rowbridge. You know that. Yeah, I know. Congrats. She nodded, clearly bored already. It's not even that hard to get into. I only applied to, 3 schools. Dad grinned. Still, we're proud of you. First one in the family to go to a top 10 university. I choked slightly on my water. Oh, what? He waved his hand like it wasn't a big deal. You know what I mean. Prestige-wise. I mean, your school's solid, but Rowbridge has history. It's the real deal. I stared at him. My GPA had been higher than hers. I'd gotten into schools with better rankings than hers. I just chose a college that gave me a full ride. But none of that mattered. Not when Lily was involved. She was the shiny one. The investment. The golden child. I spent the next week quietly enduring every task they threw at me. Running errands, taste-testing vegan snacks, folding hundreds of tiny paper cranes for aesthetic. No one asked what I wanted to do before I went back. They just handed me lists and assumed I'd comply. I was a background character in Lily's movie. One night, while sorting through a box of decorations in the garage, I found something that made my throat tighten. My high school diploma. Still in the cardboard envelope it came in. Unopened. Unframed. I held it in my hands for a long time, just staring at it. No one had even bothered to look at it, let alone hang it up. Meanwhile, Lily's B- chemistry project was framed above the fireplace like it was a Nobel Prize. That night, I didn't sleep. I laid in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the faint hum of Lily's music upstairs. That was the first time I truly felt like I didn't belong. Like I was just a placeholder between Lily's milestones. The final straw came 3 days before the party. I was in the kitchen making myself a grilled cheese when I overheard Mom and Lily talking in the hallway. "She's not going to like the surprise," Lily said, her voice low and whiny. "She'll love it," Mom replied. "And it's the perfect opportunity to show how strong she's become. It's closure. What if she cries or something? I don't want drama at my party. She'll be fine. It's not about her, anyway." I stayed frozen by the stove, ears burning. When they left, I snuck out into the living room and checked the master event list again, looking for anything labeled surprise. There it was. Saturday, 4 p.m., special tribute. No details, just a gold star next to it. I didn't know what it was, but I had a sick feeling in my gut. The next day, I got my answer. Dad pulled me aside while I was restringing lights around the backyard pergola. "Hey, Dylan, can I ask you for a favor?" I nodded slowly. "Sure. We want you to do a little speech during the tribute part of the party. Nothing big, just a few words about Lily. You know, something sweet. Make it emotional." My stomach dropped. "Why me?" He clapped a hand on my shoulder. "Because you're her big brother. You've always been the stable one. You've got that calm presence. Plus, she really looks up to you." I wanted to laugh, or scream, or throw the spool of lights into the pool. But instead, I asked, "And this is the big surprise?" He nodded. "Yeah, that, and the slideshow." I narrowed my eyes. "Slideshow? Photos from her childhood. You'll love it. There's even a picture of the two of you on your first day of school." I'd seen that photo. She was front and center, holding a glittery sign. I was half cropped out of the frame, mid-blink. I nodded numbly and finished the lights. Then I walked straight upstairs to my room and locked the door. That night, I sat on my bed with my laptop open, fingers hovering over the keys. I knew what I had to do. Not out of spite. Not even out of revenge, not yet. But because I had reached the breaking point. The moment you realize you're never going to get what you want from certain people. So you stop waiting. You stop hoping. And you start making your own way. They wanted a tribute? I'd give them something to remember. But first, I needed a plan. The next morning, Lily knocked on my door. "Hey, can you help me figure out the table layout? Mom's losing her mind." I opened the door just wide enough to see her. She was in a silk robe again, sipping some kale-colored smoothie. "Actually," I said, voice even, "I was thinking I'd surprise you too." Her eyes lit up. "Seriously? OMG, is it, like, a gift or something?" I smiled. "Something like that." She clapped her hands. "Yes. Finally. You're not as boring as I thought." That comment used to sting. Now it just rolled off. I let her skip back downstairs while I grabbed my laptop and got to work. Over the next 48 hours, while the house buzzed with party prep and frantic last-minute Target runs, I was busy contacting vendors. I cashed out my savings from my campus job, called in a few favors from classmates who owed me, and quietly booked something Lily had mentioned at least 20 times over the last year, her dream venue. A rustic barn-turned-event space about 20 minutes from town. She wanted to use it for her party, but Mom said it was too pricey and unnecessary. So I rented it, and I had no intention of inviting her. But we'll get to that. Because the final push, the moment that truly set the stage, came the night before the party, when I caught Lily talking to her friend Kendra on speakerphone in her room. I wasn't snooping. Her door was half open, and I was walking down the hall when I heard my name. "He's being weirdly helpful this week," Lily said, giggling. "Like, I thought he was going to be all moody or whatever, but he's actually trying." Kendra laughed. "Isn't he? Like, super lame though." "Oh, totally. He's like a sad golden retriever. You pat him on the head, and he does whatever you want. Honestly, I kind of feel bad for him." I stood frozen, just out of sight. Then Lily said something that made my jaw tighten. "Mom said he might be moving back home after college to help with the house while I'm at school. Can you imagine? Like, EW. He'll probably live in the basement and do taxes or something." They both held with laughter. That was it. No more playing the good brother. No more quiet acceptance. I had spent my entire life swallowing my own needs so Lily could shine, and all they saw me as was backup. A fallback plan. A convenient extra set of hands. But not this time. This time, I was going to be center stage. And when the day came, I made sure everyone would see exactly who Lily and my parents really were. The morning of Lily's send-off party arrived like any other overhyped family event. Chaotic, loud, and filled with the smell of burning toast because Mom insisted on making breakfast special. She was zipping around the kitchen in her floral apron, barking last-minute orders, while Dad was out back adjusting tablecloths that were already pinned down perfectly. Lily? She was upstairs, probably rehearsing her grand entrance or getting her hair curled by some friend she'd convinced to play stylist for the day. No one noticed I wasn't eating. No one noticed I wasn't dressed for the party. And no one noticed that my car, packed with bags, speakers, lights, and a carefully boxed cake, was already halfway down the street before the guests even started arriving. I left a note on my bedroom door that just said, "Had to take care of something. Be back later." That wasn't a lie. I was taking care of something. Something long overdue. When I pulled into the gravel lot of the old barn venue, the event coordinator was already waiting for me. She was a short, no-nonsense woman in her 40s named Tanya, and from the moment I booked with her, she treated this like it was the most important party of the summer, even though I hadn't told her everything. Just that it was a private celebration, that I needed full access by noon, and that the guest list was fluid. She took one look at me lugging out sound equipment from the back of my car and said, "You're gonna need help." By 11:30 a.m., the venue looked incredible. The string lights were up, the rustic bar was fully stocked with mocktail ingredients, because I couldn't afford alcohol licenses, and the DJ, my roommate Alex, who moonlights as a wedding spinner, was already setting up his set list. The guests started trickling in around noon. Not my family, not Lily's preppy classmates. These were my people, friends from college, folks from my job on campus, even my old high school English teacher who I'd run into at a bookstore and invited on a whim. Every single one of them had supported me, celebrated me, and treated me like I mattered, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. The event wasn't flashy, but it was authentic. There were Polaroids hung with clothespins along the barn beams, photos of me actually living this past year, studying at midnight in the library, hiking with friends, that time I accidentally dyed my hair pink in the dorm showers, laughing, failing, growing. I called it the real send-off. It was supposed to be symbolic. A way to close the chapter on the version of myself that bent over backward for people who never saw me as more than a convenient footnote. But the truth is, I wasn't prepared for what came next. Back at home, things were starting to unravel. It started with confusion, then panic. I found out later that around 1 p.m., Mom tried to call me. When I didn't answer, she texted me, "Where are you? We're doing the tribute in 30 minutes, and people are waiting." Then came Lily's text, which was a little more direct. "Don't bail on me. This is MY Day. You promised." I didn't respond. Instead, I queued up a short video that played right before Alex kicked off the party playlist at my venue. It was a montage, not of Lily, not of family memories, but of my graduation day. I'd quietly compiled clips from classmates, old teachers, even a few phone videos someone sent me from the parking lot where I'd sat alone in my gown. Over it, I'd recorded a voiceover. I didn't say names. I didn't call anyone out directly. But I talked about what it feels like to be invisible in your own story. To be the quiet kid who thought if he just worked hard enough, someone would finally say, "We see you." To have your biggest milestone ignored while your little sister got cucumber water and eucalyptus towels. And then I said, but the truth is, being overlooked taught me something. It taught me how to stop waiting for permission to be proud of myself. That was the moment the room got quiet. Afterward, the music started, the lights dimmed, and we danced. Not to impress anyone, not for social media, just because we were free. But freedom, it turns out, comes with a cost. When I got home later that night, the house was dead silent. I walked in through the side door and found the living room looking like a war zone. Half-deflated balloons littered the floor. Plates with untouched hors d'oeuvres sat on the table. One of the banners had fallen, slumped like it had given up halfway through cheering. And there, in the center of the room, was my mother, sitting on the couch, arms crossed, mascara smudged. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" she asked, voice cold. I didn't answer right away, just closed the door behind me and set my keys down. "You humiliated us," she said, rising to her feet. "People were asking where you were. Your father had to stall. And then Lily. Lily had a panic attack during the tribute because you didn't show up." "Good," I said quietly. Her jaw dropped. "Excuse me." She deserved to feel what I felt a year ago. "You're being cruel." "No," I said, stepping forward. "I'm being honest. You didn't come to my graduation. You left me standing alone in a parking lot so Lily could get a mud wrap and some lemon water. And now you want me to dance around her party like it didn't happen. She needed that weekend. She was under stress. So was I. I was graduating, Mom. And none of you cared. Not even a picture frame. Nothing. She stared at me like she didn't recognize me. Maybe she didn't. Maybe I was changing too fast for her to catch up. Then Dad came downstairs. He looked tired. Deflated. I saw your little video, he said. Real nice. Playing the victim. It wasn't about you, I said. It was about me. And how I had to become my own support system. Lily didn't show her face that night. I assumed she was upstairs, stewing. The next morning, I left before sunrise. That should have been the end of it. But life doesn't let you cut ties that easily. Especially not with family. The fallout came fast. Lily posted a long Instagram story calling me toxic and jealous, claiming I ruined her special day and turned her friends against her. Mom backed her up with passive-aggressive Facebook posts about ungrateful children who forget who raised them. Even some extended relatives chimed in, telling me I'd gone too far. I ignored it all, not out of spite, but because I was done defending myself to people who never listened in the first place. I threw myself into college, picked up more hours at work, got promoted to student lead, even started tutoring on the side to save up. Every dollar I earned was mine. Every late night in the library, every essay, every shift, it all belonged to me. No more invisible victories. But the emotional weight? That took longer to shed. There were nights I still wondered if I'd gone too far. If maybe, somehow, I was the bad guy. That guilt they'd always been so good at planting. It lingered. Like smoke in a sweater. One night, a few months after everything, I was sitting on a bench outside the campus library when my phone buzzed. A text. From Tanya, the venue coordinator. Hey, just wanted to let you know, we've gotten 3 booking requests from people who said they saw your party and loved the vibe. One even asked if you'd be willing to help plan theirs. You have a gift, Dylan. I stared at the screen, stunned. A gift. I'd never been called that before. The next day, I printed out flyers and posted them around campus. Need help planning an event? Let's talk. And just like that, something started. Small at first. Birthdays, graduation dinners, open mics. But each one felt like a step forward. Like I was reclaiming something. Not just my time, but my worth. For the first time in my life, people were coming to me, not because they needed something from me, but because they saw what I could do. Because they believed in me. Because I believed in me. But even as I rebuilt my confidence, the shadow of my family never fully went away. Especially not Lily. She didn't just move on from what happened. She planned to come back. And when it came, she made sure I couldn't ignore it. But I'll tell you how she did that in the next part. Because what she did next wasn't just petty. It was calculated, cruel, and it almost cost me everything. It started with an email. I was 3 weeks into the fall semester, juggling midterms and a growing side hustle as a student event planner, when I saw her name in my inbox, Lily Maddox. Subject line, hey, peace emoji. My stomach tensed before I even clicked. I hadn't heard from her directly since the party fallout, and every interaction since had been filtered through our parents or social media subtweets. I'd unfollowed her on everything, muted Mom and Dad, and done my best to build distance. But there it was. Her digital olive branch. The message was surprisingly short. Hey, I know we haven't talked since everything. Just wanted to say I've been thinking about you. College is harder than I thought. I miss you. If you're ever up for coffee or something, let me know. Smiley face. It was weirdly normal. No venom. No drama. No backhanded guilt trip. I stared at it for a solid 10 minutes. The old version of me. The one that still believed maybe Lily had a hidden layer of humanity beneath all the glitter and narcissism. Almost typed out a response. But the new me? He paused. Because something felt off. Still, curiosity got the better of me. I didn't respond right away, but I did a little digging. I still had a few mutuals who followed her on Instagram, and while I couldn't see her posts directly anymore, I saw what others were tagging her in. And that's when I found it. A selfie at some high-end restaurant with the caption, meeting up with my big bro trying to rebuild, smiley face, #family first. The timestamp? 12 minutes after she sent me the email. My blood ran cold. She'd never actually wanted to reconnect. She just needed the image of reconciliation. It was all fake. And I almost fell for it. I didn't respond to her email. Didn't say a word. But I did start thinking. Because if Lily wanted to play games, I was finally ready to play back. Except this time, I wasn't just reacting. I was planning. The turning point came a week later, during a campus event planning mixer hosted by the student union. I was there handing out flyers and talking with local vendors when I noticed a familiar name on the guest list. Rowbridge Event Society. Lily Maddox, president. I blinked at the little badge sitting on the registration table, her name printed in a fancy serif font like she'd earned it. She wasn't even a full semester into college, and she was already angling for clout. Typical Lily. Always climbing over people for the next title, the next spotlight. And as if on cue, she walked through the doors 10 minutes later wearing a tailored blazer and holding an oat milk latte like it was an Oscar. She didn't see me at first, but I watched her work the room. Charming, posing, performing. She talked to a guy from the local catering company I'd worked with last month. Laughed with two girls from the decorating team. Even tried to pitch herself as an event strategist to a student group that already had one. And then she saw me. Her face froze for half a second, just a flicker of panic, before she composed herself and gave me a perfect little wave. I nodded back, cool and unreadable. But something was different now. I wasn't afraid of her anymore. Over the next month, I learned everything I could about the Rowbridge Event Society. Turns out, it was more of a name than a real organization. Just a half-formed group with no budget and no real events under its belt. Yet. But they were ambitious. Their goal was to land a co-hosting gig for the school's annual Winter Gala, a massive fundraiser attended by faculty, alumni, and local business leaders. The gala was a big deal, the kind of event that could launch careers. And Lily had made it very clear on social media that she wanted to be the face of it. That's when the pieces clicked into place. I wouldn't just go after her emotionally. That was a game she thrived in: manipulation, guilt, gaslighting. No, if I wanted to hit her where it hurt, I had to target her brand, her image. So I started planning. Step one was to reach out to the gala committee directly. Through my work on campus, I'd already collaborated with a few of them, especially one grad student named Priya who managed logistics for the business school. I casually brought up the gala during one of our weekly meetings and asked if they were still looking for co-hosts or partners. Technically, yes, she said. We have two groups in the running. The Event Society, which is new but loud, and your team. My team. She smiled. You don't even realize you've built one, do you? You've done more real events than any of the others. Student showcases, charity dinners, even that off-campus open mic. I played it cool, but inside I was buzzing. Step two was to gather allies. I started looping in some of the people I'd worked with, DJ Alex, Tanya from the barn, even one of the catering students who owed me a favor. We built a quick proposal, simple, elegant, and grounded in actual experience. No fluff, no fake credentials, just proof. Step three, wait for Lily to sabotage herself, which, true to form, she did beautifully. A week before the committee's final decision, I got a call from Priya. Hey, weird question, she said. Did you hear about the venue drama? I blinked. What venue drama? Apparently, Lily had tried to reserve a local vineyard for the gala without securing a contract. She sent out digital mock-ups of the location with her name plastered on every invitation, curated by Lily Maddox, and had even promised custom wine tasting menus to the alumni network. The problem? The vineyard owner never agreed to host. He'd had one phone call with her, said he'd consider it, and then went on vacation. Lily never waited for a confirmation. She just assumed her charm would seal the deal. When the owner got back and saw what she'd done, he pulled the plug. People are furious, Priya said. She's trying to downplay it, but some donors are threatening to pull out if she's involved. I almost laughed, but I didn't, because this wasn't the moment to celebrate. This was the moment to strike. That weekend, I finalized my presentation. Clean visuals, real photos from past events, budget spreadsheets, backup venue options. Everything Lily had skipped in favor of aesthetic and buzzwords. On the day of the pitch, I arrived 10 minutes early. Lily showed up 5 minutes late. She was wearing another tailored blazer, but this one looked more forced, like she was trying too hard to project control. When she saw me in the room, her eyes narrowed. Oh, she said, fake smile flickering. Didn't realize we were competing. I shrugged. Didn't realize we were still talking. Her nostrils flared slightly, but she didn't reply. She sat 2 chairs away and crossed her legs like she was on Shark Tank. The committee heard my pitch first, and it was smooth. I talked about accessibility, cost-effectiveness, community partnerships. I showed them real testimonials from people I'd worked with. Priya smiled through the entire thing. When I finished, there was a pause, then quiet applause. Then Lily stood. She launched into a wordy, buzz-heavy monologue about elevated atmospheres and emotional brand synergy. She showed slides of the vineyard that was no longer available, and when someone asked about the backup venue, she hesitated. Oh, we're still in talks. They weren't. I knew that. Everyone did. Afterward, we were asked to wait in the hallway while the committee voted. Lily turned to me as soon as the door shut. You think you're clever, don't you? She hissed. I tilted my head. What do you mean? Hijacking my event. Undermining me. You did that yourself. I just showed up. She leaned closer. They're going to pick me. They always pick me. No, I said calmly. Mom and Dad always picked you. That's not the same thing. She opened her mouth, then shut it. For the first time in years, Lily didn't have a comeback. We both got the email 2 days later. Subject, Winter Gala 2025, Event Partner Selection. I opened it slowly, letting the suspense build. And when I saw the words, "We're thrilled to work with you and your team," I exhaled. I didn't cheer, didn't gloat, because this wasn't about winning some sibling rivalry. This was about reclaiming control, about proving to myself that I didn't have to be anyone's shadow, that I never needed their validation to shine. But if you think that was the end of it, you don't know Lily. Because after that loss, she went quiet. Too quiet. And that's when I knew she was planning something. Something bigger. And far more personal. She disappeared for 2 weeks. No texts. No emails. No social media posts. Not even one of her cryptic, healing-era updates or manicured flat-lay brunch photos. It was like Lily had ghosted the planet. Which, in her world, only ever meant one thing. She was plotting. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't nervous. She didn't lose often, and when she did, she never took it gracefully. But there was something different this time. A silence too sharp to ignore. I kept waiting for the blow to land, for her to throw me under some digital bus, spread rumors, stage another reconciliation post that made me look cold or bitter. But nothing came. Until it did. And when it did, it nearly cost me everything. It started with a phone call from Tanya, the barn venue coordinator who'd helped me throw the send-off party months ago. I hadn't spoken to her in weeks. We'd exchanged thank yous and parting emails, but she had moved on to other clients, and I had been buried in gala logistics and classwork. Her voice was tight when I answered. Dylan, did you authorize this refund request? My heart jumped. What refund? Someone called this morning claiming to be you. Said the deposit from your party last summer was accidentally billed twice, and they needed the overcharge returned to a new account. I blinked. What? I didn't process it, Tanya said. It didn't sit right. The guy sounded rehearsed, too pushy. And he couldn't confirm your last payment method. But he gave your name. Full name. And he said he had permission to act on your behalf. I sat down hard. Did they give you a name? I asked. She hesitated. No. Just said they were your assistant. I thanked her, hung up, and sat there, numb. Because I knew exactly what this was. This was Lily's revenge. Not with fire or drama or chaos. But something quieter. Smarter. Scarier. She was trying to unmake my reputation, piece by piece, from the shadows. Discredit me with vendors. Undermine my work. Whisper about my dishonesty, just enough to leave a stain that would spread. And if Tanya hadn't trusted me, it might have worked. But I wasn't going to let her win. Not this time. I started pulling strings. First, I contacted every vendor, every partner, every client I'd worked with over the last year. I told them what happened. Shared screenshots, receipts, anything to prove I wasn't behind it. Most of them believed me. A few were wary. But no one outright cut ties. Still, the damage was done. There were murmurs now. Doubts. And that was enough to light the fire under me. Because I realized something. I'd spent so much time building my own path, proving I didn't need validation, that I forgot how powerful it is to expose people on their own terms. So I started digging. Not to retaliate. Not yet. But to understand. To track the roots of what Lily had become, and find the one thread I could pull that would unravel everything. And eventually, I found it. It came from a freshman named Hallie. We met during a joint student-run event where she volunteered as a photographer. Sweet kid, nervous energy, always carrying a massive Canon camera like it was a baby. We grabbed coffee afterward to talk photos for the gala site, and halfway through, she blurted, "You're Lily's brother, right?" My stomach tightened. Yeah. What? Her eyes went wide. Oh. I didn't mean anything. She's kind of a big deal around our dorm. I forced a smile. Yeah, I know. She told everyone you tried to sabotage her last year. Said you used her name to book a fake venue and then blamed her when it fell through. That stopped me cold. What? Hallie winced. Sorry. I shouldn't have said anything. It just seemed weird. I leaned forward. Did she say that to you directly? She hesitated. Not me. But she told Zoe. And Zoe runs the student blog. I blinked. The blog. The one that posted a leadership spotlight on Lily a few weeks back. I remembered the headline. Young visionary to watch. How Lily Maddox is redefining campus events. It hadn't even mentioned the venue debacle. I thanked Hallie and walked back to my apartment with one thought echoing in my head. She's rewriting the story. She wasn't just smearing me. She was polishing herself, editing out the failures, reframing the mess-ups, turning every loss into a misunderstood moment of genius. And worst of all, people were believing it. But what Lily didn't understand was that the more you twist a story, the more fragile it becomes. Because eventually, someone starts asking questions. And I was about to make sure they did. I made a video. Not for social media. Not for my friends. For the gala committee. I compiled timelines, screenshots, voicemails. Even the assistant call Tanya had recorded for her own protection. I didn't dramatize it. I didn't attack. I just laid it out, calmly, cleanly, like a prosecutor before a jury. Then I sent it privately to Priya and the rest of the leadership board with a short message. This isn't about revenge. It's about protecting the gala. I trust you to make the right decision. And then I waited. I didn't have to wait long. 2 days later, I got an official email. The committee has decided to remove all association with the Rowbridge Event Society from gala planning efforts, effective immediately. And then, in a separate message, a text from Priya. We saw everything. Thank you for being honest. You've got our full support. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in months. But it wasn't over. Not until Lily knew she couldn't touch me anymore. The final act came by accident. Or maybe fate. A week later, I was back at Tanya's venue helping prep for a small winter wedding when I saw her again. Lily, standing outside in the gravel lot, arms folded, talking to someone on the phone in a sharp, agitated whisper. I ducked back behind a parked catering van and listened. I had the gala, she was saying. I had the narrative. And now everyone's acting like he's some underdog savior. No, I don't know how he pulled this off. It doesn't matter. I'll find something else. Another headline. Then she laughed bitterly. He thinks he's better than me now. Just wait. He's not done paying for that party. My jaw clenched. She hadn't learned a thing. So I stepped out. She froze mid-call. Her eyes widened. And for once, she didn't say a word. Just lowered the phone slowly, like a caught thief. Looking for another venue? I asked calm. Silence. You know, I continued. You could have just apologized. Nothing. And if you ever want to try again, like, really try, maybe start by telling the truth. She stared at me, then scoffed. Don't act like you're some hero, Dylan. You just got lucky. No, I said, taking a step closer. I just stopped playing by your rules. And then I turned around and walked inside. I didn't look back. The gala was a success. Clean, elegant, packed with students and donors. We raised twice the expected goal, and 2 local companies reached out afterward asking to collaborate on future events. My name wasn't on any banners, but I didn't need it to be, because when I stood at the back of the ballroom, watching people laugh and dance under the lights I'd hung, sipping drinks I'd coordinated, enjoying a night I'd built from the ground up, I didn't feel invisible. I felt seen, not by them, by me, and that's all I ever needed. That night, as the last song played and the crowd thinned out, Priya clinked her glass next to mine and said, What now? You've basically run this place. I smiled. Now, I said, now I build something that lasts. Because I wasn't just the forgotten son anymore. I was the one who made them remember. And this time, I wasn't fading into the background ever again.
Riley go? Riley and Loki. Why is Riley and Loki so quiet in chat?